Hey guys, I decided to make a video, the first ever video that I'm making, just to document my build that I'm doing on my B9 S4. Currently already stage 3, running the TT810 and all the supporting mods. That's the 4-bar map sensor, the turbo, and the intake system, Wagner intercooler, competition kit, and a couple of other parts. I will be doing a video on the actual current mods in the car because there are quite a few to go through, and I definitely want to thank quite a few people that helped me put this build together. So shouting out 034 definitely helped me find a few parts for the car that I couldn't have got without them, such as like the Supertech valve springs, which I'll go through, and also Taylor King, who's also got a built B9 S4, as well as Andrew, who's also helped me with the build, and not to name another few people as well. Car is going for quite a number of upgraded pieces. Now this is definitely overkill for what I'm trying to do, but I just felt like if I'm going to open up the engine, I wanted to go with some of the best parts that I possibly could. So I'm going to go through each part one by one. A lot of these parts are pretty much OEM, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go through them. I may have missed parts, if I've been honest, but I am working with the engine builder to look at parts that potentially I've missed, like gaskets, things like that. Hopefully I've covered most parts, and if somebody wants to build their engine, they can understand, the thought process that I went through when I went through my sort of build list, if you will. First up, pretty straightforward. I have got oil pump, so not oil pump, sorry, water pump. I'm getting mixed up here. So I've got a water pump, got an OEM one. I did actually initially order an aftermarket one, but I decided later down the line, given that it's sort of belt driven, that I would go with an OEM system, and it's only right to go with all OEM parts. So that's part number one. There'll be small breaks in between the video, just as me getting other parts together as well. As well, show you guys other parts as well that are not really to do with performance, but I got some new LED blinkers for the wing mirrors, because the ones that I had were a bit scratched. Also got carbon wing mirror caps as well to replace the current ones, because they got a bit yellowed from the sun. As you can see, got some really nice, if this can come into view, really nice quality carbon wing mirror pieces. I am an advocate for Chinese parts, I'm not going to lie, so a lot of my parts come from China. Used to be involved in a business where I source parts directly from China, so I'm actually quite good at that. So things like intercoolers, downpipes, exhaust systems, you name it, I get most of that stuff from China. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that to sort of give you an idea of some of the other mods I'm doing. There are more pieces coming as well, but I'll get into that in a wee bit. Okay, so many people know that I've been speaking to in the background. I've had a boost issue. Still hasn't been resolved, if I'm honest with you, but because I'm rebuilding the engine, I'm just changing parts just as a preemptive measure, but honestly these aren't needed, so you don't have to get these. But this is the pressure converter that is on the B9, which controls the wastegate on the car, and I figured I'll get a new one. It never ended up being this part, but I figured it's there now, so I'll just keep it and decide what I do want to do with it later on. The next two parts are the same, because the car uses two of the same pumps. This is the auxiliary pump. Just wanted to refresh the coolant system on the car, and figured while the engine's out I'll just refresh a lot of these parts, saving me doing it later on. So two pumps, as you can see, that are going to go onto the car as well. These pumps are identical, so there's no point me opening the other box, because it is literally the exact same thing. And on the coolant system as well, you have two solenoids that control the vacuum system for the coolant, which is where a lot of failures happen, it seems. So I got two of these. Now I did go for aftermarket options, because it turns out the OEM version is the Pierberg version anyway. So I thought, you know what, instead of going OEM, I'll just go with this option, but literally it's the exact same part, made by the exact same manufacturer as well. So that's those two. This is another part which I shout out to 034 for helping me put together. These guys managed to ship me out the Supertech valve springs and retainers. Now, according to them, this will help me boost to about 8,000 RPM on the current setup. Now, it's worth noting that my initial plan with this car is to maximise the 93 octane tune. I'm not going for an E85 tune. I mean, maybe one day I will. It depends on the tuner. I'm still undecided on which tuner I'm going with. There's two that I'm going to choose from. But yeah, the reason that I'm undecided is because one tuner is quite a while away, and the other one is actually quite local. Both can tune the car quite well, so I'm undecided, but basically that's the options that I've got. But essentially this will be able to help me with the amount the car can rev up to in basic knowledge. But yeah. Moving on, we're on to some of the big bad boy components. Now here we have the rods, which are made by Arctic. Sorry. Now Arctic have got their own agreement with Italian Rods and Pistons, funnily enough, so these guys have actually got their own line through them for built engines. Now I spoke to Arctic, there was a couple of options on the market. Now obviously Italian Rods and Pistons do their own ones, but for me, I just wanted to go with somebody that knows the engine a little bit better than just getting a generic one. I mean, it's not generic, it's still custom for the car. So I ended up going with Arctic's option. Now, according to them, we are looking at the internals being able to go up to, now again, this is what they say, between 1,000 and 1,500 horsepower. Again, I'm only aiming for 93, so I'm not going to go anywhere near that. And being honest with you, I don't think the TTA 810 is going to go anywhere near that either way. If time allowed, I would have went full frame turbo. This is basically, there's obviously all roads here, they're all the same. If the time allowed it, I would have went full frame turbo. Not time, sorry, finances. But for me, the cost of going full frame versus the performance benefits I'd get on 93 isn't a lot, so I just sort of decided against it. But I may look at it in future if the turbo ever goes or anything like that. I may sort of build out a full frame turbo, like the thought has crossed my mind, but we'll wait and see. Moving on, we are on to, again, apologise for the angle of the video as well, because I've sort of got this leaning over my computer. Like I said, it's my first ever video, but I figured nobody's done a video like this before, I might as well do one. So we have the holy grail of everything here, the piston. Now, as you can probably tell, again, Italian Rods and Piston have made this for Arctic, and essentially we are going to see what sort of power we can get out of this. I will say that this specific version has lowered the compression ratio, so if you go for the standard Italian Rods and Pistons, they do stick with the standard compression ratio, but with this it lowers the compression ratio. Can't remember the exact numbers, I did have it written down, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to confuse anyone. But yes, the reason I went for low compression ratio, it's thanks for the guys at Infinite Performance. They have sort of advised me that if I'm going for 93, the low compression ratio makes sense. If I was going for E85, probably better going for a higher compression ratio, but for me, E85 doesn't make sense because it's not ready available. If I was in America and I could go to the pump station and pump E85 in the car, I mean, it would be a no-brainer, but unfortunately I don't. I made, like, this is what I was getting back to, depending which tuner I go with. One tuner's actually said to me they could make an E85 map for me, alongside the 93 map. And then the other tuner's just purely going to do a 93 map. They could do an E85 map as well, but again, I'm in two minds, but we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what I'm doing. Okay, hopefully this picks this up. I'm not going to bore you guys too much, but basically this is a lot of the OEM replacement parts for the cars, like timing chain tensioners, the timing chains themselves. We've got an obviously oil pump here as well, and obviously rocker cover, not obviously, but rocker cover gaskets, the new rocker cover arms, which has got the revised rollers in them, and that is pretty much everything that's in here. And I've got a couple of OEM gaskets. Now, I did look through the market to see if there's any upgraded gaskets, but there is none. You can probably speak to aftermarket gasket manufacturer to get one made, but again, I decided against making a bigger gasket because I spoke to a few guys, and these head gaskets are pretty much good for up to about 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 wheel horsepower. I say up to. When you start getting to 1,000 wheel horsepower, the heads will lift on this car, but again, I'm going nowhere near that power, so I figured I'll stick with the OEM, but there's a little something coming up in a minute. Okay, again, big thanks to the guys over at Arctic. We have inlet manifold gasket, and we have some nice new, if I can get this out here to show you guys, because there's not really much online to show you in terms of picture wise. This will be the first time I take on video. We've got a nice new inlet manifold, nice billet version as well, so it's really well made. I decided not to go for the port injection option. Again, shout out to Taylor. I just figured that it'd be better without it, realistically, for my uses anyway. I'm sure if somebody's ended up building some crazy power B9 like we've seen, then I'm sure the port injection will come in handy for them, but for my needs, so daily driver as well, I figured I'll just go for the one that doesn't include port injection. But it means that the plastic manifolds get replaced with these so that I don't crack or cause any issues when I'm putting higher boost through the car. Again, a lot of my parts actually came from Arctech, so I'm going to show you guys this, but this is their high pressure, sorry, not high pressure, apologies, low pressure fuel pump option from Arctech. And they basically say that the car's current low pressure fuel pump is good for about 500 wheel horsepower. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is completely overkill for my needs, because like I said before, I'm only aiming for 93 and I'll probably only get maybe 500. Well, let's see what the dyno says, because nobody's done a build like this before for 93 octane for the TT 810 turbo. So let's see how far we can go. But I just thought to myself, I don't want to end up having to put on the dyno and find out that fuel's a limiting factor. Now, I don't think it will be, I'll be honest with you. But, I mean, a lot of people say yes and no, but nobody's actually done it before. So I'll be the guinea pig for everyone to figure out if this was worth doing or not. But yeah, I'm upgrading anyway. I figured why not? I'll throw a pump in and see how it gets on. Obviously, it is a drop-in pump, but you still need to be tuned for the pump. So a lot of things going on with this car. Next up, we have got the PCV system. Now, just keep in mind that when you buy these mods from Arctech, like the PCV system, like the intake manifolds, they don't come with gaskets. So you need to order gaskets from Audi or wherever you ordered from, but obviously go for the OEM parts, they'll fit just fine. And then with the PCV system here, catch can system, it's all wrapped up. So I'm just going to show you the fill plate section for the oil, because I think you guys will like this. But yeah, almost there, wrapping with one hand. There we go. So very similar to the racing line setup that they've got for their PCV system. But of course, this is Arctech's own design. I figured I'll go for this. And to be honest, I'm not sponsored by any of these people. I've got no ties to any of them. I just figured, to be honest, for me, it was the cheapest option. And I'll be fair, it's an absolute solid option. No different to any of the other designs in the market. And I know a few boys running this design, and it's actually quite good. So I can't complain. There was no need for me to upgrade this, but figured, being honest with 034's video where their car's oil cap popped off, that did get me a bit worried, especially when you're sort of doing a build like this and putting quite a bit of effort and time and money into a build. I didn't want the same sort of thing happening to my build, so I figured why not. It's only going to cost a little bit compared to the actual cost of the bloody build. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, here we go. PCV system, catch can, everything is in the box, but I won't unbox that since it's all packed up. Okay, so we have got the Pro Series studs. Now, if nobody knows what Pro Series are actually from Wagner. Wagner, who make the intercooler for the B9 as well, also make the head studs and made studs for the car. And I'm just going to go through both of them just now and take you through them. So here we go. So this is what the kits look like. This is one of the kits. And we're going to go through the other kit in a second. Perfect. Again, shout out to the guys at 034. They helped me with the, what do you call it, the head stud kit. But you can probably see the 034 logo there. The main stud kit I had to order directly from Wagner. Now you may notice that when you buy these kits it says B8 3.0T, don't worry about it. The guys know what they're doing, and basically what you end up getting is an extra washer kit that goes with the kit, which actually helps support the B9 engine as well, which you can see here. This is the washer kit they give you with it, and with this combo this will be able to fit our engines as well without damaging the block. So yep, fingers crossed you guys will get a good overview of all the parts I've got for this engine, and yeah, hopefully it gives you guys a help when you're building yours. Now I will say that Wagner / Pro Series has come out with a bigger head stud kit, because head lift does happen over 1,000 wheel horsepower, but like I said, I'm not going anywhere near that. But I spoke to the guys at 034, actually Sean I spoke to, shout out to him, and they do have an M11 kit, but you have to do a bit of head work to get those head studs to fit. And like I said, for our purposes, that is a way overkill, so we're not going to do that. But for anyone with massive builds, you want to go for the M11 version of this. This is the M10 version. I'm going to bring the camera down here for the last one, since it is pretty straightforward. This is the post-throttle charge pipe kit from ECS Tuning. Basically, the stock pipes on the B9 are plastic, and I'm trying to get away from the plastic side of things, because when you start running higher boost you don't want things to crack, etc. So I figured I might as well go for the upgraded post-throttle charge pipe kit that's on offer. Now I will say that if you do intend on running maximum power, you will probably need a custom post-throttle charge pipe kit, which is going to be a wee bit wider. But like I said multiple times, my sort of goal is not to have like some crazy power build. Maybe down the line I'll maybe change it, but I figured for my uses it'll be fine. And fingers crossed you guys have got a good overview of my build, and hopefully it'll be done. It's going to take some time to get done, but hopefully it'll be done, I'm hoping by the end of the year, which is quite a while away. But I wanted to give you guys an insight of the parts I used, because when I was sort of looking, I had to look at multiple different sources to try and get an idea of what I was trying to go for. Now keep in mind, this build that I'm building will be phenomenal for E85 customers as well. So if you're using E85, this build will suit you just fine. Nobody's maxed out the TTA 810 on 93 yet, so I don't know what it can do. Who knows, if I go down the E-fuel as well, I'll be able to max that out. In terms of the headwork itself, now that's something I didn't go into. I'm actually getting the heads ported as well, which will help increase airflow, which will actually give me an increase in power, along with the lower compression ratio. So let's see what happens with this engine and this turbo and see where we can get to.